Hey guys, it's Peachy Tech here with another aesthetic white PC build. This time we're using some blue components, but they did not come like this. This is actually the Asus Tough Gaming 4080 that I painted blue for my friend Zekia. Her handle is ryujin on Instagram if you want to check her out. But I painted this. It was actually pretty easy, so I'll show you guys how to do it, but I think it looks really good. And then I also painted the RAM as well. And then the case is the nzxt H9 that I love so much. And all of the other components were provided by Asus, so shout out Asus for sending this ROG Strix Z790 and their brand new Ryujin 3 cooler with magnetic fans. I'm super excited to use all of this, so let's get started. So to make the GPU blue, I had to completely take it apart and paint it, which the whole process took like a week. If you want to check out the actual step-by-step tutorial, be sure to check out my recent video where I teach you how to completely take apart this GPU and the RAM to paint it. Now this is the first time I've ever attempted etching glass, but Zekia mentioned wanting some cherry blossom flowers etched onto the side panel of the case. So I got this thing called Armour etch and I attempted using it, but I think my application was the problem because it ended up looking a little bit patchy. I ended up buying this vinyl applique that also looks like frosted glass, so I used my Cricut to cut those out and I used a mix of those and the actual like Armour etched petals to make it look kind of nice. The GPU turned out so good, and this is what it looks like with the original emblems, although I opted to remove these because Zekia liked the sakura flowers on the GPU fans as well, so I ended up using hollow stickers for that. Because Genshin was partnered with Asus to promote their newest expansion, I used my Cricut to cut out some holographic vinyl as well to print out some Genshin Impact decals. Alright, now you're all caught up, so here I am using the ROG Strix Z790A Wi-Fi. This is a DDR5 board and we're going with the Intel 13700K. She's also getting 32 gigabytes of Patriot Viper's 7000 megahertz DDR5 RAM, so this computer is going to handle all of her gaming and video editing needs. So this RAM comes black in the box, but if you want to see how to customize it the way that I did, be sure to check out my previous video. For the SSD, we're going with the Crucial P3 2TB M.2. This isn't the fastest drive, but she can upgrade in the future. I think 2 terabytes will be great for her to store all of her video files and different games. Honestly, in hindsight, knowing that she might upgrade later, I should have put this drive in one of the other slots. That way she wouldn't have to remove the GPU to upgrade it, but hindsight is 2020, I guess. Here I am just prepping the motherboard for the AIO bracket. And here's Zekia putting the motherboard into the PC. She looks so good, and she's matching the PC too. Now that the motherboard's installed, it's time to move on to the AIO. Asus sent over their Ryujin 3 240mm AIO. This is a crazy cooler with an LCD display that pops off magnetically, and the fans that come with it are also magnetic, which is freaking insane. This is going to make cable management so easy because everything just clicks together. I'm mounting this on the top of the case, so just screwing that in before attaching the actual CPU cooler, and this does come with pre-applied thermal paste, so no need to worry about that. I was having some difficulty screwing the screws on, but then I realized that I can just take the screen off since it's magnetic, and now you can actually see the fan that cools the VRMs on the motherboard, which is an interesting addition on this cooler. Now that that's done, it's time to move on to the power supply. So I went and picked up this Tough Gaming 1000 watt power supply at Micro Center, and this actually comes with pretty nice braided cables. They're kind of waxy in texture, but I ended up getting a cable mod set of not even like a cable extensions. These are like real cables that plug directly into the PSU. So when you use these, you have to make sure that they're made for the brand of power supply that you have, because they're not all interchangeable. So these are the ones that are compatible with Asus and Seasonic, I believe, and they're white. They look so clean, so I'm just plugging these directly into the power supply. I do feel kind of bad that I'm not using any of the cables that the power supply comes with. Like, I don't even know what to do with those, like toss them. But we plugged everything into the power supply, and now it's time to mount it into the case with the fan facing out. I love that the H9 has so much room in the back for cable management because we have a ton of cables. But now that the power supply is done, it's time to manage all of those cables real quick, so I'm just kind of working through that. And then you'll notice at the bottom, I ended up finding 2 extra nzxt RGB 120mm fans, so I mounted those in the bottom so we have some form of intake in the bottom. And then I ordered this vertical GPU mount off of Amazon, but I never opened it. Like, I ordered it like 3 months ago, I never opened it, and when it finally came time to use it for this, one of the screws would not go in, and so it was like a complete waste of time. I literally spent 30 minutes trying to make it work because the GPU looks so nice, it's a shame not to vertically mount it. The bracket is supposed to screw into the bottom of the case and not rest on these fans, but because the screw is missing, there's no structural support that will hold the GPU up without the fans underneath. So I eventually gave up on the vertical GPU
GPU mount. I needed it for pictures, but I ended up taking it out after and just mounting it regularly, which is super sad. But in the meantime, I ordered this wownova 5-inch LCD for inside of the case, so I'm setting that up. And what I really like about this one is traditionally the screens that I've seen before have to plug in to your GPU, which takes up like a whole slot, but this one actually only has one USB-C cable that can plug into your internal USB header. So between the front panel, the AIO, and then the screen, you need 3 USB headers, but I had an extra splitter, so I just used that. And with that, the build is finally done. I think it looks freaking amazing. Besides the fact that this vertical GPU setup is literally so scuffed, but basically Zekia came to build this and she was leaving that day and I was visiting LA like for this, so I didn't really have time to order another bracket. So we ended up using this one just for the pictures, even though it's literally being held up by like a piece of foam and a dream. The GPU is just so pretty to be mounted normally. I'm actually like really sad about that, but we might end up ordering her a vertical bracket in the future, but for now it's actually mounted like just normally into the motherboard, unfortunately. So here's what it looks like with the GPU mounted normally. I mean, it still looks good. Like the blue really pops in the all white build. I think the RAM and GPU look really cool. And then this is what I meant by the armor edge ended up looking pretty patchy. I think the frosted vinyl appliques actually looked a lot better. But this is what the final build looks like. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps me out a lot.